Thank you very much to our jazz entertainment. It was organized by Professor Joel Vanderhayden, and we really appreciate you coming over and starting our event. So good afternoon to everybody. I want to welcome each and every one of you, and I thank you for coming to join in on our celebration today. I am Lisa Ebert, and I am an English faculty member here, and I'm also the advisor for the JC Writing Club, which is now 3 years old, and this is our second journal, so we're doing great. So I want to welcome you. This event is called the Celebration of Creative Works because it's not just for writers. We want to include the whole artistic community here on our campus. We have work in our journal that is poetry, fiction, essays, comedy, right? We also have photography, we have collage, we have drawing, we have painting. What am I forgetting? We have a comic. Trying to think. So we have all sorts of work going on here, and of course we just have musicians. Our campus is a hotbed of creativity, so this is an event that's a lot of fun for me. I also want to mention, though, it's not just our artists that contribute to this and do all of their wonderful work. It's also my Jefferson College Writing Club. They have been working on this pretty much for 6 months. We start receiving submissions and we review them, and then we edit them, and then we vote on them, and then we edit some more, and then we lay it out, and then we argue, and we decide, you know, it's just week after week. They come in and they work their little hearts out all the time. So I'm really proud of my students. So I want to give a hand of applause to our club members. So Kurt Vonnegut Jr. has a good quote about creativity. The arts are not a way to make a living, as many of us know. They are a very human way of making life more bearable. Practicing an art, no matter how well or badly, is a way to make your soul grow. So not all of us are practitioners in the arts or are students of the arts, but we do pursue it because it does enrich our lives. So this is a celebration of the things we do in order to give our lives more meaning and to grow our souls. So I want to introduce to you the MCs for the event. Over here we have Professor Tim Boehm. He is also an advisor to the JC Writing Club. He's right by my side when we do everything. He's a very creative and smart guy, and he's funny, and he's a good MC, and I think you'll enjoy hearing him speak today. And then over here we have Megan Partney. She is our current president of the JC Writing Club. She's a talented writer and artist. She does drawings and maybe other kinds of art. And I have to say that she is a go-to officer. She is always equal to the task. Whatever I hand her, she does it. So she's off to a great start, and she's graduating this year. So we're going to have to find a replacement. It'll be a tall order. So without further ado, I would like to let the MCs take over and let you enjoy all of the readers tonight. Thanks.
I'll do the intro. You're first.
Oh, I'm first.
You're going to read in a little bit, you know.
Oh, yeah, great.
Anyway, yeah, I'm Tim Boehm. I teach English and film appreciation here at Jefferson College, and just so you know, we came up with it's a chaotic kind of setup here. We're each going to be doing different kinds of introductions. Mine's more like attempting to do stand-up comedy, I guess. Feel free to laugh. We're not. It's fine. And Megan, I guess you're going to be a little more targeted, roasting a little bit of some, or just, you know, some of them are compliments more than roasts of our specific people. So. But I just wanted to, say glad you all could be here. We are going to be telling jokes, though, so I don't know if you saw the Oscars, and if you don't like any of our jokes, please don't slap us. Just write us a strongly worded email, that's fine. And I don't know if Megan might let it slide, but if you do slap me, I'll press charges, so just FYI.
I need to pay for college, so...
Anyway, let's get it rolling here. Megan Partney is our first reader. She is the president of the JC Writing Club, and she's just awesome. She was a pirate for our Trunk or Treat event, which, by the way, was gonzo crazy successful. So come back for Trunk or Treat next Halloween. But she's got a great piece in our creative journal that actually is the last piece in the journal, so that's a place of distinction. And without further ado, Megan Partney.
All right, so I'm a little bit nervous, if you can't tell. But yeah, so I want to explain the backstory of me writing this so you guys don't all assume I'm automatically crazy. If you know Greek mythology, you know that things can get a little bit weird in Greek mythology. And one of them is that they tend to intermarry into their families, which is, yeah. So I thought, you know what? Who else does that? Hillbillies. So I decided to combine the two, and that's how we got the story. The real Greek gods of Mount Olympus, by me. Zeus was your stereotypical, kind-hearted, smiting god who just wanted to have some fun. He liked long walks during thunderstorms, owned an electrical company, had a pet eagle that was totally not stolen from a zoo, and most importantly, was a real family man. That's what his dating profile said anyway. He couldn't understand why it was such a big deal to Hera, his quote-unquote wife, that he had just a few, active dating profiles. Poseidon has them too, he whined as he scratched his greasy beard. It hung down from his majestic, beautiful jaw that was slightly, just slightly, twisted to the right more than most people's were. Some people may have called it an underbite, but that was ridiculous. One of his bright, baby blue eyes that were to die for was also higher than the other, but that was because he was majestic and kingly. I told you to stop dating around or I'll finally call the cops on you, Hera yelled, one of her green crossed eyes looking at him and the other at the window. He gasped, his vision blurring as he raised his hand to his forehead. His wife, his sister, his cousin, all betrayed him at once because they were the same person. How could she? I thought you were a marriage counselor, Hera. You should know that dating is perfectly normal. It's healthy and it keeps a relationship thriving, you know. The dented up floor, spray painted gold, and covered in a mixture of peacock and eagle feathers, was starting to grow closer as the world tilted at an odd angle. Dating with your wife, she screeched, her voice like nails against a chalkboard, as she lifted up one of the last wooden chairs still standing in the kitchen. He is going to die. He was going to die. Hera was going to finally kill him. Think of the children, he said in a panic, his voice taking on a shrill note as he prepared to scream. I am! She lifted the chair higher, dragging one foot against the wooden floor. He opened his mouth to scream as Argus the peacock burst through the door, leading an ensemble of his fellow birds to nag Hera for their breakfast. He breathed a sigh of relief, the birds yelling at Hera as she slammed the wooden chair down to the floor, the rickety thing shaking but somehow still withholding. All right, you freeloaders, she said with something as close to love as Hera could get. She then glared at Zeus, whose vision was, miraculously, starting to come back. It was crystal clear, beautiful, wonderful, amazing, just like him. Well, he said after she reached into her green apron pocket and threw down cat food, I've got to get to work. You know, running Olympus and Electric Inc. and being mayor is not easy. Yeah, she muttered under her breath. He lifted himself out of his chair, groaning in response. Hopefully the cops don't come by again, or maybe you'll get your wish and never having to see me again, sweetheart. She threw the peacock some more cat food as they squawked, fighting over it. Zeus walked to the door slowly and picked up his suitcase, something that Hades had brought him as a present when lottery tickets would have made more sense instead, as he dramatically sighed. It's a tough world out there, baby. Be glad you have me on your side. He opened the door before she could respond. Her quick retort probably on the tip of her tongue, but he wasn't hearing it today. No, today was about him. His little secret. The secret that everyone in town knew except his nagging wife. Olympus School for the Unwanted Children was having a grand opening of the new gym that was, naturally, going to be dedicated in his honor. And that's where I'll leave you guys. Oh my gosh, yeah.
We have one copy to pass back and forth. We're, being conservative. So, like I said, my stuff's going to be a little more random. I thought I'd tell a story about a personal experience narrative I once read. A student of mine, she said it was like her niece years and years ago when I guess people still didn't wear seatbelts sometimes, and her niece refused to wear a seatbelt like all the time. And then, of course, there was an accident, and the niece went like flying through the windshield and went like face first into the rear of the other car's windshield. It was hideous. Somehow she survived that. And she had all these like, the writer described it as like looking like Frankenstein in the hospital. But the interesting part is that somebody asked her in the family, like, are you going to wear your seatbelt from now on? And she had the best response. She said, probably. That's either really bold or I don't know. Anyway, our next reader has been a club member. I was really involved with it last year, and she submitted a poem that I really enjoyed working on. I was involved with Lisa on the editing, called Upon Your Shoreland. Valoria Grace. Let's give it up for her.
Hi, I'm Valoria. Fair warning, I haven't had to talk in front of this many people since last year when I did this. So we'll see how it goes. So like Tim said, this is called Upon Your Shoreland. It's basically inspired by The Little Mermaid, more so the fairy tale than the movie. But I don't remember much when I was writing it. It just kind of popped out. But I remember mostly that feeling of sort of wanting something and knowing or thinking that you'll never really be able to get it. So here we go. I hem and I haw, watching you drift upon your shoreland, feet skating across the sand, lost with every step. Always just out of my reach, my call to you dies on my lips, so far from your shore until I sink back beneath my waves of doubt. The water will continue its desperate attack, while your footsteps remain an anchor, such a wonderful promise in a world so filled with denial. My love, how you fought that day, thrashing against the same oceans I've known for so long, the same waters that once loved me, once caressed me with a mother's touch, then had pulled you down to crush and suffocate you. Such a cruel fate for one so lovely. I hadn't known such a thing existed until that day. A cruel fate indeed, the witch had said, stroking your delicate cheek. You had grown so still by then, love, weighed down by such silly things as flowing skirts and blouses, the pearls twisted into your hair. Your lips, too, had turned blue, so much like the patterned shells that wrapped around the witch's neck, as she whispered to me so long ago. Your head had grown so heavy in my palms, your chest so still for so long that when the shells finally opened wide, when the witch whispered her bargain, the answer came easily. Now I watch you upon your shoreland, waiting for the day I may approach. The waves continue their relentless torrent as you wander, haunted with dreams you will never understand. In the distance, your footsteps echo softly against the sand.
So we totally prepared this ahead of time, as you can tell. No, we were just trying to go with the theme, you know. So next up is James. James is a good friend of Chad's, and Chad told me everything I know about him through text messages at 11 p.m. So, James, I heard that James is a theater kid at heart, so he probably knows every song to Hamilton. And the rumor has it that James is on hugging terms with a total of 15 women. So, good for you, James. Good for you. Proud of you. And next up, he'll be reading.
I'll be reading two pieces for you today. I will spare you the long introduction to both of them, but I will provide a tiny brief one for both. My first piece is entitled The Loner. I my language arts teacher used to have these things that he called starters at the beginning of class. And he would usually say something like, just write something down that comes to your heart. And sometimes he'd have themes for it, like, well, be descriptive, write something descriptive, or write something that's really dear to you, or describe your house. And one morning he said, be very descriptive. Look at this picture that I'm going to present to you, and think of something to write. And usually I would scribble down half of something, but I actually wrote something that I was very proud of. Here's the loner. After a long day, the loner sat alone on the bank of the Mississippi River. The hot sun had shown its blistering rays long enough and began to retire amongst the flat and distant horizon. While sitting in the dark green moss of the muddy bank, the loner assumed silence would ensue once the light of day was no more. But instead, a chorus of song began. Thousands of insects began to sing a song only known to them. Rhythmic, chaotic patterns of noise, almost like breaking instruments, began to rise and fall like the waves of an ocean. A bird's song in all its complexity cannot overpower the symphony of white noise that came from the tiny composers. As the last glimpse of light reflected off the glassy water, the insects rejoiced, and the loner did too. Next piece I'll read for you is titled The Sunflower. Unlike the last one, which was fiction, this one's a little bit of prose that I actually just wrote while I was lying in bed. Sunflower by me. I think I am certain it is true, and I am certain that I think it to be so. It must be so, for I cannot bear it to be untrue. If it is true, and you truly do not think of me, then my heart can move freely without the entanglements of wires, and roam with only the bittersweet sting of sorrow that is left behind. It is with the promise of what is certain that frees my heart to move on. But if it were untrue, and even the simplest of recollections entered your thoughts, if even the simplest thought of myself were on your mind, if you thought of me, then I would be undone. Dark vines would entangle and snare my heart, sending spirals of thoughts whirling like great funnel clouds, all unrelenting in force. My mind would cloud with the painful and fruitless hope, the hope that I could ever be with you. I would yearn to feel you in my arms, to entangle myself in you and run my fingers through your soft black hair, to feel the warmth of your heart and the song it produces, to feel the soft and tender touch on your lips on mine. But I cannot, and I shall not. Hope is a dangerous thing, and a hope for you would be as fruitless as dashing my heart against jagged rocks, as hopeless as chasing the wind. Thoughts of you would consume me, thoughts of a future never meant to be and destined to be out of my reach. I know now that I am destined to look upon you, but never to touch, like a sunflower in another's garden. I know you will be an unforeseen blessing to another soul, but a disaster for my own. Therefore, I am certain that you do not think of me, and that my recollections are never on your mind. For that is the way it must be. I love you, and I know that you will never love me back. Thank you.
Well, like I said, I'm an English teacher, teach composition, and I'm grading this papers on Othello right now. Some tough names in there. Rodrigo, a lot of people misspelling Rodrigo. They leave out the E. That's understandable, but just a writing tip. If you ever write about Shakespeare, don't misspell Shakespeare. He's kind of a big deal. Our next reader's actually in my class, and I saw him today, and I was like, is there anything you'd like me to say about you, Gage? And he's like, no. I was like, okay. So, Gage Kincaid, folks.
All right, I'm just going to be reading a couple of poetries that I've written. Thy lie still, like the rock, standing against the waves. Nothing can move thee. I'm waiting for the moment, till the moment when noon almost sets. The moment the herd starts moving, I will still be lying still. Once the moment comes, thy fly, like the wings of a bird, flying to my next position. But till the moment, I'll still be lying still. What is this shroud of darkness that touches me, this cloud that shields me from the light? It feels like it holds me in place. Do I dare fight it or let it take its course? What does it want from me? Help? Harm? Nothing? I cannot tell. Whatever it is, though, it will stick with me till the end. Along the road is a massive piece of green. In the middle of the green sits a pond. It is calm, relaxed, as though nothing touched it. Next to the pond was a bench. I would come to the spot and sit, thinking of old memories, till this time when a great blue heron came, stood right next to me as though it knew me. It even had the same recognizable stance, but the thought never came to me. Then it flew like we would meet again. I would still come to that spot, even if I was old, till that fateful day he came. He had that same stance. It was like the feeling of old friends reuniting. Then he offered me to fly with him. We flew, heading towards the sunset, and then as we knew it, we were gone. That's it.
Taken me about 10 minutes to realize that having the list of names about who's going to read would probably been helpful to grab. I don't have that, so. Yeah, that. Can you just throw that for me, Mom? Just throw it.
There we go.
Thanks. You're awesome. All right, so we got. Now this one is someone special. This is someone who really lights up the room, I think, which is such a cliche thing to say, but I'm gonna say it. So she has these things called Furbies. If you don't know what they are, just assume what they are. You know, just get a mental image in your mind. They're definitely cursed objects, you know. They'll go off during the night and they'll start talking or clicking and clacking and, you know, tornado, those things will still be working. And, well, Claire, though, that's what really matters here. Claire is an amazing singer. So I'm 90% sure she isn't human. Like, this girl can sing anything. It's actually pretty scary. So, even though you're not human, we accept you, Claire, and we love you. Okay, now you gotta come up here.
For the record, you and I are going to have a couple words with each other after this. I am also going to be doing 2 pieces today. The first one I'm not going to be singing for you. I'm going to save that till the end. But I will be reading my story, I've Had Enough, by me. The endless road stretched out before me as I drove away from my situation. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I had to get out of that house. My mind was a swarm of emotions and random thoughts while the tires of my car squealed around the corner. I didn't want to speed. I did know that I had to get away from my ex. Despite my best efforts, my mind kept wandering back to what happened to me, making me pull over. I ended up having a panic attack in the car. All I could hear for the next 10 minutes were my wails. Tears streamed down my face like a faucet, and they were refusing to let up. I couldn't stop thinking about the past hour, and my mind began to recap the events that led me to this low state. I was in the living room, waiting for my partner to come home from work. They told me I was to stay in the home when we first started dating, which I had no problem with at the time. I actually liked cleaning. I found it to be a relaxing break from my partner's yelling. But now I wanted to be my own person. I had applied for a local community college to get my degree to become a teacher, but I didn't tell my partner this. I didn't want them to get angry, but I wanted to put my foot down. I was sick of being pushed around by them, and I needed to tell someone about my latest achievement. I had my acceptance letter in hand as they walked in the door. I instantly felt all my courage drain away, like I was colorless. The look on my partner's face told me all I needed to know. I found my voice finally and spoke. "Hey, Jordan, how was work?" I damned myself for letting my voice quiver. They looked at me, steel gray eyes hard and cold as they put their coat away. I instinctively backed away as they approached me like a wolf approaching their prey. Feeling their rough hands cut my face made me flinch, but their lips against mine melted away all fear I had. Despite the rules Jordan makes me obey, I still got butterflies around them. "Jillian, you don't need to hide from me. What do you have in your hand?" Their mature tenor voice made me shiver slightly. I watched Jordan ruffle their short brown hair as they sighed. They were so much taller than me as well, so having them tower over me was nerve-wracking to say the least. Jordan cleared their throat, pulling me out of my thoughts. "Is that letter for me, Jills? Or are you hiding something?" There was a sinister tone to their voice. Shit, I got busted. I slowly raised my hand, shakily handing over the letter to them. They snatched the letter from my hand, giving it a once-over before looking at me. "Cedar Hills Community College. You are hiding something from me, aren't you, Jills?" "No, I wasn't. I have to read this." Jordan's face looked like it was about to fold in on itself. They were angry, and I felt terrified. My instincts were practically begging me to run, but my body stayed put. Jordan began to read the letter out loud. "Dear Jillian Wells, congratulations. You've been accepted to Cedar Hills Community College as an early childhood development major." They stopped and glared at me. I gulped, bracing myself for what was about to happen. "Didn't I tell you that you were to stay clean? You should know your place beneath me." Jordan raised their fists to strike me, but I ducked away. Their fists slammed on the couch, hard enough to make a loud bang. While they cradled their hand, I plucked up my courage again, and this time I was furious. I was absolutely sick to death of my partner not supporting me, and I knew I had to fight back. "I'm not your gosh darn slave, Jordan. I'm my own person, and you can't control me anymore." Jordan looked at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my ears before laughing hysterically for a few minutes. I felt my rage boil over, but I stayed firm. After they caught their breath, they asked, "Where in the hell would you even go, Jills? You have no friends, your family's gone, and you don't work. What the F are you going to do?" In retrospect, they were right, but I was too riled up to be fussed about details. I can barely remember what I said next, or even if I had said anything. All I remember is being knocked onto the floor, cracking my head on the hardwood. Can't speak today. Jordan climbed on top of me, straddling my hips, and started wailing on me. Hit after hit pounded my body, but this time I fought back. I tried to shove them off of me, but to no avail. I resorted to scratching out their eyes, which seemed to work, as they grabbed their face in pain. I wasted no time in gathering a few things and running, leaving Jordan and leaving the nightmare that consumed my life for 3 years. I found my car, somehow climbing inside before Jordan could find me. They managed to clamber outside as I locked the door. Frantically, I tried to find the key to the ignition as Jordan pounded on my car window. Their breath fogged up the glass and their hands were hitting it so hard that I thought the window would shatter. Finally, I found the key. My car roared to life in an instant, and before I could step on the gas, there was my now ex-partner, standing behind the car. They looked dejected, and I remembered that they were still human, no matter how cruel they were. Despite the terrible things they did to me, I felt guilty, and I still do. Maybe I should try to get us help, I thought, to make our relationship work. Unfortunately, I didn't see the crowbar that they had in their hands. Well, I didn't until it crashed through my rear window. The next thing I knew, Jordan was attempting to climb through, put the car in reverse, and while they were still in the car, and slammed on the gas. Once I was in the street, I put the car in drive and rocketed away, ripping my ex off in the process. And that is I've Had Enough. I will now attempt to sing the song that I wrote. It's called Salt, also by me. Left out alone for so many nights, tears in my eyes, love gone with the light. Traveling along for some lonely ride, or maybe I will fight. Cool as I am, I'm not alone. Love in my heart sinking like a stone. Yeah, here in the dark, the moon is so bright. So maybe I will. No, not tonight. Trying gets you killed, they always say. Lying leaves you still even today. Even though you see my life exalt, in all my wounds there's salt. Stare at the sky and what do I see? All of my dreams staring back at me. Their happy smiles, what would they think? I'm now on the brink. Trying gets you killed, they always say. Lying leaves you still even today. Even though you see my life exalt, in all my wounds there's salt. Maybe I could change, turn my life around, make my way through time, or have I already drowned? Thank you.
So Lisa asked us to maybe wear something quirky. Got a quirky hat there. All I had was my Rams hat. I don't know. Any Rams fans still out there? I don't know, Elon Musk in the news a lot lately. He bought Twitter. I hear he's going to buy Jefferson College next. You know what the first thing he's going to do is? Bring those damn Canada geese back, baby! Yeah! Let's go Canada geese. No, we're trying to contain them.
I welcome back our Canadian.
You what?
I welcome them. I welcome back them.
You welcome them back? Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
with open
I mean,
arms.
you know, I was almost attacked one night, but nothing happened. It was
That's
cool.
just a flesh wound.
So we got another person who answered the call to wear something a little quirky. He's a dedicated club member last year and this year. And some know him as Micah Mills. I know him as the Realm Maker. Yes. Yes.
Greetings, everyone. All right, a little background on this before I start reading it. I actually wrote this as a school assignment. I was supposed to write a small story about getting inside a character's head. And after the first attempt failed, I actually ended up writing this at almost 2 a.m. in the morning. So it had a little bit of faults. It has been revised right now, and I hope you enjoy it. This is actually my own personal thing. I hope you and guys all enjoy it. And if you want to read along, page 79. All right. This is Mind Over Narrator by Micah Mills, a.k.a. the Realm Maker. We open on a battle between two strong young men, one with the strength of a wolf, the other with the strength of a bull. The one with bull's strength, Parker Von Butch, is pushing his opposer to his limits, for a lone wolf's strength is nowhere near the strength of a bull. The one with wolf strength, Roger Wendell, knows he must fight to stop the bullish man's chaos before it begins, but he weakens as the battle goes on. All that's going through his head is, you can't lose. He'll destroy everything. Parker must be stopped. He thinks this to himself, trying to keep himself in the game. As he fights, the voice of his ally echoes in his mind. Razor, the wolf of which he is bonded to, the creature to which he must share his body with. He cheers Roger on, encouraging him to push on, not only for the damage Parker has done, but for all the damage he's done to Roger, his relationships, his reputation, his life. Roger continues to fight, taking hit after hit, thinking only of one goal, thinking only of freedom from his destroyer, thinking only of being free to live a normal life again. Though he can never find peace in his situation, Roger and Razor continue to fight on. Fight as one, and they will battle to the end for all they care about, all they value and treasure, and no fear, no monster, no person is going to keep them from... Are you done talking? Oh, sorry, am I distracting you, Roger? Well, it's a little hard to think straight when you keep gabbing about the front, in my head. I need room to think. Well, someone needs to then narrate the action. How are people going to know what you're doing without me telling them? How would they know what you're thinking? Okay then, Micah, read this stuff for me. Don't narrate inside my head. Okay, fine. As I leave Roger's thoughts, he is pinned to the wall by the giant horns of a black bull. He struggles to break free from his grasp, but then Razor suggests switching control. Roger's body begins to alter its form, turning into the wolf he is fused to for all time. Now in control of the pair's physical actions, Razor slips out of the horn lock and slides under the bull, transforming back into human form, having Roger kick and launch the bull onto his back. Immobilized from the blow to the stomach, the bull converts itself back to the form of Parker Von Butch, who lies alone in his mind, while Roger and Razor stand tall, 2 as 1 in victory. See? Wasn't that better? Okay, I'll not narrate in your head again. For now.
It's me again. I know you guys weren't expecting that. So this is someone you guys have never met before or seen before. His name is Professor Vane, aka Tim Vane, but you can't say Tim because he's a professor and that's weird. So I personally know him as the guy who wrote the Ted Cruz went to Cancun story last year, which totally should have gotten in, and anyone who disagrees with me is wrong. It was a masterpiece. I wish it was in the journal, but it was too political. So, Tim Bain, everyone.
Yes, we do reject some submissions. Lisa had a rejection this year. I had a couple of rejections last year. But in defense of the editors who, the Ted Cruz thing, it wasn't even a regular story. It was like a multiple choice test question, like why did Ted Cruz go to Cancun when the snowstorm hit Texas or whatever, and it went from A all the way down to K, so it was a little eclectic, let's call it that, but also political, I guess. Anyway, I have this poem that really depends on you knowing who Pitbull is. Do we know who Pitbull is? He's very popular, but you also need to know that he sucks. So it's called We're Going Down, Down. Things will get worse and worse. Cataclysm will follow calamity and apocalypse, and we'll all get shot up with a multitude of chemicals and bad faith down through the generations, getting ever dumber till someday folks think our greatest artist was Pitbull. Sorry. And then this other one I wrote, another pandemic-related poem. I had this idea of like a series of just random things, like storage units and strip malls, and I thought, let me try to write about those random things in a series of couplets, 2-line kind of observations. So this is called Unrhymed Couplets Composed in Pandemica. You never really hear a good slogan for a nursing home. These kids today with their Hunger Games and Squid Games, we had the Pepsi Challenge. You can store anything in self-storage except yourself, which doesn't exist. Saw a plane flying in the sky last night and thought, something is still happening. I come not to bury strip malls, but to praise them. Hey, you can't get lost. The latest variant of the no longer novel coronavirus makes you bleed from your eyes and melts your balls. Has there ever been anyone who could walk and chew gum, but not both at the same time? Warning, I squash bugs and set traps for rats. That warning was for bugs and rats. You gotta live your life, but only till it's no longer yours. I'd rather see a bad movie in a movie theater than a good one at home. Thank you.
So this next person, I was going to have a theme going on, where I just Googled everyone's names in Urban Dictionary. That didn't turn out well, but this one did. Thanks, Chad. So, Chad, I'm going to roast you. According to Urban Dictionary, the most reliable academic source, you can put in an MLA paper, just don't quote me on that. An absolute Chad refers to a person of the highest standards that is perfect without no flaw. Chad is an absolute Chad, and he's in fact the definition of an absolute Chad. Congratulations on being a Chad, Chad. Now come up here and read.
Thank you, Megan, for that heartwarming introduction. Also, thank you, Tim, for the floor. And I have to follow up Tim. Yay, I have to follow up Tim. That's like a no-name trying to follow up Dave Chappelle. Awesome. But I have 3 poems to read today. I take a lot of inspiration from hip-hop with like my internal rhyme schemes, but they're more poetic-based and less like street-based, you know. So the first one's called What's a Stipulation? It's on page 9 if you want to follow along. What's the stipulation? If I lost my way, if I'm vagrant, I'll still aid in whatever need, every way, I'll be patient. Invasive like a clover that blooms in a bundle of roses. Love, she is a rarity, grounded but overgrown. I'm over the moon, bound to overthrow my disparity. An overcast midnight in October couldn't counter the tiny sunspot in her eye. One blink, the sky. The end, some think, is nigh. Nighttime does seem on fire when adjusting to light. Gradual gain of a winded pursuit. Like glass, it's stuck in a frame of disrepute. Air shudders the pain. To open the window, I shut out the pain and let in the muse. All right, this next one is called... involves DRUGS. It's called Happy Ending, How Substances Lie. It doesn't rhyme. Heroin-dabbed clouds hang itself above the chores of life. Forgiveness swelters as progress melts away. Furniture hitches the knotted stomach, and the ceiling fan shadows the automatic haste. Cut disabled hearts with a bursting enabled vein, filling empty time with fleeting fixtures. It's all in vain as it courses through. Asperatus clouds are beautiful till the moment they descend and splash through the earth, then siphon from a few wisps of muck, millimeters of syringed iniquity. The rain that smudges ephemeral glass, no longer could she survive as a specter peering ceaselessly from her den, now boarded up, as the window for a reflective cloud-splitting moment drains from the crook of her arm and the drug procures squatter's rights inside her soul. All right, last one. This is on page 96. I forgot to tell you what the last page one was, but this is 96. It's called I Don't Hang Like Sloths. Always circle back to the same stuff. Every sphere I'm in always has the same ring to it. These spheres aren't invented. I converse with them. They stretch the circumference of glass that holds my resolve. I'm afraid to spill over top, so I circumvent, though it kills often. Once again, here I am, wrapped knuckles in cloth. My friends tend to help, but don't fully understand. I get mine in with stealth from the belt of champions, hidden welts and enough stress to fill up canyons. Hard work doesn't grow on trees. That means it doesn't hang like sloths. You could talk all this breeze without backing it up. That talking stick better be hundreds of degrees, or you're holding us up. My gut tells me when the rut is coming. I used to be the runt, a good-for-nothing, till I jutted my neck out and stood for something. Cutting folds of paper sky, sharpening pens into the night. Now I refuse to struggle with strife. Better keep your head sewed when juggling knives. Writer's blocks are just whetstones, then I pass them by. Thank you.
All right, well, so I thought I'd tell you a story before our next reader comes out about how I got into arguments with strangers online, which is always a productive use of your time. Some guy wrote a negative review of a place called Rich and Charlie's in St. Louis, and somebody was like, "You can't say bad things about that. It's a family-owned business." And I was like, "Yeah, but occasionally, isn't there like an entire family that's full of morons? I mean, them owning a pizza joint doesn't really change that, does it?" Anyway. Our next reader is really just brilliant. She did the cover of Controlled Chaos, and she has several other art pieces in there, and she's got a great COVID poem. And she was first here in what, 1984? 83, wow. So say hello to Jerry Manning, folks.
So this is like my red carpet walk, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So then I'll just take a minute and thank God through Christ who gave me all the talents that I do have, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to use them and to share them with others, and thank all the instructors since 1983 who've helped me and all the family and friends who've supported me. As he said, the cover is mine, and I have 4 others that's mine. These 4 paintings that you're seeing go by are tempera and Elmer's glue. I wanted to prove that you could do things if you didn't have much money available. And then there are oil paintings on top of that background. There's also a linoleum print. And then there's one more, and it's a graphic charcoal. But I also, in addition to all the other art that I practice, I also take the time to write periodically. And so I'm going to read you a poem that I did this year. Poetry, nursery rhymes particularly, have been used down through history to help children negotiate and find their way through the horrible things that can happen in life, like Ring Around the Rosie was the marks from the disease, and the posies in their pockets were to keep the smell of the dead down, and Humpty Dumpty, some know and some don't, but it was actually a large weapon of mass destruction for the time, and it fell off the wall and busted, and they couldn't get it back together, so it changed the course of the war. London Bridge falling, and of course the cockle shells all standing in a row. That was the silver bells and cockle shells were tied to your toe when they buried you during the epidemics and pandemics of the old times, because they weren't sure you were dead, so you could wiggle your toe and let people know you were alive above the ground. So I've written one for the times that we're living in now, as we see our children with masks on, and everywhere you go there's another sanitation machine or device for you to clean your hands, and I call it a nursery rhyme for a COVID time. 6 foot back or 6 foot down, that's how COVID runs our town. Free masks and gloves and 6 foot back, or COVID lands you in a sack. Family frowning, lungs are drowning. COVID, it ain't clowning. 6 foot back or 6 foot down, that's how COVID runs our town. There's no visits, not one soul. Ventilated, die alone. 6 foot back or 6 foot down, that's how COVID will run your town. Thank you.
So the reason why, partly I was laughing at Professor Bain's jokes so much, is because my family has a family-owned business. Yeah, Partney Heating and Cooling, we're great. We don't count, not all businesses. All right, gotta figure out. Now Cameron, this is someone I know a lot about, who I totally did not learn I was going to be introducing about 15 minutes ago. Cameron, you're great. I hear that this is your first time being published. Your name's Cameron. I mean, what else is there to say? You sound like a great person. So, Cameron, please come up here because I don't know who you are. There you are, Cameron. Woo!
Hello. As she said, my name is Cameron, And today I will be reading a poem that I wrote, I think actually a couple years ago. And it's one of my favorite things I've ever wrote in my entire life, so I hope you like it. It's called Slowly. Slowly, like the moon rising, like the sky turning pink as the sun fades away. Slowly, I fell in love. Simple touches, soft words spoken only to each other. Inseparable, soft I love yous in the dark, before we knew what it meant to be in love, when the world was black and white and we only saw each other. But then we grew up, leaving the only place that we knew and trading it for new things, for growth, for change. Slowly, I grew into a person that you wouldn't recognize, and I still don't know if that's a good thing. Slowly, you realized that I was slipping away, and then one day, I was gone. Finally, my wings spread open as I flew. The wings were my dreams, and the wind was my freedom, and slowly, like molasses dripping from a spoon, like falling asleep, did I realize that deep down, I was the person that I was meant to be. I still love you, and you will always hold the piece of my heart. But I am free, free of the pain, the regret, the sadness. Slowly, I see that everything in my life happened for a reason. Slowly, I begin to see the bigger picture. Slowly, I stretch my wings, reaching the clouds as I soar, and slowly, finally, I am free. Thank you.
Wesley, you here? Where are you? Mr. Okay, cool. Just check. Don't want to introduce somebody and then they don't show up. So everybody talked about the slap with the Oscars. In case you didn't hear, Chris Rock told a joke about Will Smith's wife, and Will Smith slapped him in the face. And that was weird. I just think it's like, that's all they talked about for days. Like, they didn't talk about Coda won Best Picture. That was kind of a big deal. Kenneth Branagh won his first Oscar. And nobody mentioned how the cutest couple was Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas. I mean, come on. Okay, maybe that's a reach. Our next reader is a good buddy of mine and just a great colleague, and he teaches chemistry. Jefferson College. He's a drummer, he's a bassist, he's an artist, he draws, he paints, he writes, obviously, too. He's going to read something he wrote. So please give it up for Wesley Whitfield.
I don't dance. Hi. I really like chemistry. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. So I don't know. I don't know when this started for me. I think it's probably getting to know this guy. But I would drive home from teaching chemistry, and then all this like vocabulary would just be flying through my head, and then crazy things would pop out, and then I just started writing on my cell phone in the little what's it called? Notepad app. Yeah. So I do this weird thing. I think was it Obrecht? You mentioning the flow thing? Yeah. It's kind of like how good, but I don't have any kind of rap style in my head. But it's very similar. When you said that, I was like, oh, we should talk. All right. So I don't know. I never practiced this one because I forgot I wrote it. This one's called Mouth. I had to try it. I couldn't help it. Okay. So I am going to step back because I know it's a little. All right. Here we go. It's a dark, moist hole. It's on page 82, by the way. We all have that emits vapors and epithets, envelops capers and crepe Suzettes, remaining empty for not too long. We won't last too long. Jagged cream occupants, myriad reds, violent, luscious. Sparred, one lasts not too long. It's a dark, moist hole. We all have that emits wagers and blandishments, evokes anger and sobriquets, complaining plenty For too long, we won't fast too long. Ragged dream miscreants, mythical beds, silent, lascivious, marred, to last not too long. I don't know what it's about.
Just got a pencil here waiting for somebody to.
Your pencil.
There you go. So last night I was looking over my little notepad. I had jokes and ideas, and one of them just said, "Sing Bo Burnham songs." I won't sing a whole song because I'm not as good as Claire, but it's got this one that goes, "So long, goodbye. I'll see you when I see you. You can pick the street. I'll meet you on the other side." So there's no joke there. Just you should watch Bo Burnham's Inside on Netflix currently. And our next reader is a star, Bojana Spoboda, and great club member last year, great club member this year, and I had her as a student once, A+ student. A little worried about her math grade. She's only at 98% in the math class, but I think she'll pull out that A. All right, Bojana, come on up.
Hello everyone, I'm Bojana Spoboda. So today I'm going to read for you a poem I wrote. I actually wrote it as a song originally, but I'm nowhere near as a good singer like Claire or even Mr. Bain. It is on page 20 and 21 if you want to follow along. Game of Life. It's called the Game of Life. Here are the rules. You get one shot, it's win or lose. If you win, you survive. If you don't, you die. Are you willing to try? If you are, I've got some advice. Some that might save your life. Never dream of dying. Just always keep surviving. This is what I have been told. But I never thought it would come to this. It was now just hit or miss. I had to do it. Finger on the trigger. I wish this had gone better. But your middle name is Betrayal. I remember how we trained together. You taught me how to do this. I used to like you an awful lot. But then you did something that made me sad. Then I got real mad. The next thing that you know, it was down to us two. A couple old friends, just me and you. I did what I had to do. I took that shot. You might have died, but I survived because I never dream of dying. I just always keep surviving. We've been friends for quite a while, and all other games we've played, you've won. But in the most important game of all, you're gone, I've won, and the fun has just begun. I'm going to read another poem because I didn't practice at all. I'm not timing myself, but it seems like everybody has went way over the limits. So I'll go too. This next one, it's somewhat based on a true story, but I took my own spin on it. Unfortunately, the story is a little classified, so I can't share it. It's on page 49, and it's called Nathan, and the next part is redirected. We met at camp, spent a week together, but I never got your number. What are you doing now? You wanted to work at NSA one day. Are you working on Operation Spying on American Citizens? Do you ever spy on me? Read my emails, check my texts. Is my house under surveillance yet? I hope not, but I wish you did at the same time, or are you still in? You said I'd never find you, and I admit, it's true. Do you think about me? Not most likely. You've probably forgotten about me. No one but know that you and I met. No one but know I like you. I really do. But now I'm beginning to forget you. No matter how hard I try, I can't stop that. I want to see you again so bad. Or perhaps you hacked through firewalls. Now you're sitting in, awaiting your sentence. I've got bad news for you. With this record, you won't get a clearance. Unlike the movies, the government doesn't hire felons. If you did get that intel job, you're reading this. Trust me, I know. The government spies on us. This isn't classified anymore. Exposed it. Now I ask, do you ever think about me? Do you ever think about what we could be? If you do, send an email to me. I won't tell you my address. You can find out that. For now, I will forget about you. Maybe our paths will cross again one day. Perhaps we will. But if they don't, that's okay. Maybe you and me were never meant to be. You were and still are a ghost, and that's perfectly okay. That's why I liked you at first anyway.
What's that?
Is it okay if I say something?
Oh, sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not trying to say this.
Yeah, take it away.
So for reference, oh, no, not yet. Wait. Yes, you're right. You're smart. I also want to say that Bojana, I'm sorry, I have problems with names. I'm pretty sure she's going to be my boss one day because we're both going into cybersecurity. So, I got to be really nice to her. But we have a present for the next reader. It's a bit of a tradition, and this is one I like, so we're going to keep it. All right. So, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to introduce Miss Ebert, but I stole your thunder. I stole your thunder.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, our advisor to the club is Lisa Ebert. She's awesome. First, I want to tell a story about how I joined Meetup.com, a group called SWAGs, Singles Wanting Adventure Group, and then I forget the S, but it's something. And they send you a lot of emails like, hey, just let's come hang out with strangers. Like, eat a meal with strangers. I've done this. It's like, I guess the pandemic's over. But they sent me a bunch of emails about dancing. I don't want to dance. And then they also sent me a bunch of emails about pickleball. Does anybody here play pickleball? All right. Pickleball sweeping the nation. Somebody told me there was a pickleball-themed restaurant in St. Charles. I'm like, so you're just sitting there eating fajitas or something, and you're like, I'm glad I can think about pickleball while I do this. Anyway, like I said, our president is, she's our president. Our advisor to the club, our faculty advisor, is Lisa Ebert. She just carried this whole thing on her back, created the club, and just orchestrates so many things with it, finds the speakers for our meetings, arranged this wonderful, helped us plan out this wonderful gathering today. So can't say enough for her and how she's helped a lot of students, I think, reconnect with other people, because really, last year we weren't sure. First year we tried to do it, it got shut down, but last year we got, because of the pandemic, but last year we got our first volume out. It was a great success, and I think this one is really awesome as well. So please, folks, give it up for Lisa Ebert.
Yeah, we got stuff for you. Come on, Mike. All right, I'll just grab it. This is from us. So the idea from last year, it's in the Walmart bag. You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, I like the Walmart bag. Thank you. Here, it's a wonderful present too. Give me a hug, you wild thing. Aw. It has really given me a new lease on life to be with this club. I've been teaching for, 30 years. So this is kind of fun to be able to, give back from all of the wonderful things I've gotten. So thank you. I'm going to read just two poems. The one poem is in the book on page 63, and it's about a creature that scares me. They're called cicadas. And when they come, they come in full force. So that's what this is about. It was from a few years back when they showed up. I drive with the windows down to better hear the occasional roar from an infested tree. This year, cicadas descend upon us in a mighty show of number after a long, startling absence. The first sign was this: many holes in the soil of my vegetable patch and hundreds of brown carcasses. A breathless waiting followed. I grimaced cleaning the shells, and then the noise began. I'm told they sometimes bite. I'm told they're gentle creatures. I only know they're everywhere. Their brown and aqua bodies cling to my screens and flowers as if waiting for a sign. They are kind of frightening. This second poem is called a Pentoum, and if you've taken my literature class or my creative writing class, I've tortured you with this, but it's a form I really like because it's an old verse form from England. It probably came from somewhere else before, but it's kind of redundant. It's a couple steps forward and a couple steps back, and I like literature that manipulates the reader a little bit. So this is called Pentoum on New Orleans. I never dreamed it would be my second city. The Big Easy slouches down at the Gulf, its smelly rhythms beckoning me there, where my sons learn and play and hide. The Big Easy slouches down at the Gulf, where my sons wander and get into trouble. Its smelly rhythms beckoning me there, if only for a glimpse of my boys. Where my sons wander and get into trouble, a 10-hour drive down the Mississippi, if only for a glimpse of my boys, eating expensive food I buy for them. A 10-hour drive down the Mississippi, a pricey Airbnb and parking tickets on top, eating expensive food I buy for them, taking in the noisy, vibrant sights. A pricey Airbnb and parking tickets on top. That's what I pay to see my sons, taking in the noisy, vibrant sights, hoping they study in between their smokes. That's what I pay to see my sons. I drive back north, fatigued yet refreshed, hoping they study in between their smokes as the road unwinds until I'm home. I never dreamed it would be my second city. I drive back north, fatigued yet refreshed, its smelly rhythms beckoning me there as the road unwinds until I'm home. Thank you. There's one more, right?
Huh?
There's one more.
One more? Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I was going to say something before we go to the next one. Go ahead.
Of course, go ahead. Steer thunder ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to all our artists in the book. If you're here, maybe if you want to stand up or raise your hand or something. I know Holly's here. Where's Holly? Or she was. Oh, okay. And I don't think Emily Glidewell's here, but she... Oh, Emily! Emily! Good to see you. She did our back cover. Awesome. Thank you. And has, what, one or two others in the book? Yeah? Awesome. So they really add a lot to the book, and it's just some great artwork. And, of course, Jerry, as you heard about earlier. But, yeah, I'll leave it to Megan to introduce our final reader.
I would also like to say this, but I wasn't laughing at you, Miss Ebert. My mom was in the crowd pointing to herself because we went to Washington, D.C. to visit my brother. And he's an interesting individual. He's in the Marines, so he's like, he knows he's great. He's like a peacock. So anyways, next one. This is the guy who refers to me as Madam President, so thank you for boosting my ego every time I see you. So Tim is a living embodiment of chivalry is not dead. Like, he's the one, like, there's a definition in the book for chivalry. He's probably like the picture next to it. And he's also likely Mark Twain hiding as an undercover immortal. I mean, I have evidence to support this, but I won't out you. So, give it up for Tim. Tim, where are you? I forgot Tim's our tech guy, so it might be a bit, you know. Yeah, good job, Tim.
Ooh, free pencil. Okay, so just to clarify, there will be no singing from me. I don't sing. First off, Claire's way better, and second off, even if I wanted to sing, my throat's not in the best condition to do that, so sorry to disappoint everyone. I don't know if I'm supposed to go in a specific order, but there is one that I do like the most, so I'll probably go with it first. Excuse me. It's called Walking Among the Trees. It was based off of an actual hike that I took over in Burns Mill. Probably one of the best days in the history of best days between spring and summer. I walked among the trees like that of a silent deer, looking from this way to that, from the sky to the ground. Of all the things that moved, that fell, that flew, that spoke its native tongue, being curious of all that was around me, here alone in the woods, among the trees. As my feet graced the dirt and rock beneath me, I breathed in the fresh and exotic air as it whooshed all around me. Its small yet powerful essence brushing against the leaves, the wood, the bushes. The hairs on my body tingled with excitement as the breeze wrapped around my body, while the sun shone its soothing light among and through the towering figures of the woods. And I breathed it in, it filling me with a sense of peace and happiness, with relaxation, as I walked among the trees. And during my walk, I listened to who was with me among the trees. They spoke in many tongues, from chirps to whistles, from crickets to buzzes, from places I couldn't see, from places that were right around the corner, from places that lay beneath me, from places that were above me, from one side of me to the other. And I felt as though I were in a city, and they were the dwellers, and I the tourist. And even though I soon returned to the world of man's domain, to be reacquainted with technology and indoors alike, I still think back to when I was out and about, into the brush and into the leaves, to be where I always wanted to be in the world that I enjoy, to walk among the trees. This next one is based on a day. I can't remember how hot it was, but I think it was like 110 or something. It's called Outside on a Summer's Day. The vibrant sound of people filled the air as I walked amongst the crowd, besides the birds of the sky, the breeze in my hair, while the star of our system glazes my face, and the AC from inside breathing upon me as if it makes its presence known throughout the area. I compared it to an oasis in the desert, my mouth aching for some water, especially as the bottles nearby were empty, already lusting for its refreshments, and my sweat relieving my skin as it works along with the soft breezes, the wind embracing me, as if I were its only child. And this last one, called Sorry, is based off of a little financial accident. I mostly remember it being inspired because of a paraphrased voice message left by my dad saying, "We know it was you, we know it's in your wallet, when you get back home, we're giving you a verbal whopping." I spent a little too much that day. If you happen to be reading this, and I'm sure you would, do not compare me to some type of Brutus, for that would not be good. Please understand I mean you no harm, but when one's car is running out of gas, and forgive me for being a little crass, that is what will happen when you leave your credit card unarmed. And that's all I got.
Let's bid the folks farewell, shall we? You want to say anything as president? What?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
If you want to come to Thai-rama, which is this like amazing Thai place in Festus, you can. We're having a party there. I reserved it.
What time?
5:30. I told them we were gonna be there at 5:30. So they'll put you in the banquet room. So tip well, eat good, be good. So yeah, if you want to, go and hang out with some of us. I'll be at a ceremony, but I'll be there in spirit.
Yeah, what ceremony?
Honor ceremony?
Honor ceremony?
Yeah.
Wow. And we got copies of the journal, both from this year and from last year. Emily had the cover last year. Great job. By the way, her face fall in the book made me laugh out loud when I saw that. Yeah, folks, we just want to thank you for showing up. If you're a student here or if you're a potential student here, we would like you to think about joining the writing club. We're a fun bunch, and some of my students are here for extra credit, so meet me in the lobby afterwards and sign my attendance sheet, and you will get the promised extra credit. And we didn't go the full 2 hours, so you gotta love that, right? So, all right, folks, thanks for coming out.